Hello, welcome to Mindset Manifesto. I'm Kara, aka the Karadime, and I am here to ask you one question. Have you ever been super frustrated because you're doing all the manifestation techniques, but nothing is showing up? This episode is to help you figure out why. So, we'll definitely cover the common manifestation blocks and also give you some practical tips at the end to help you align with these manifestations that you're trying to manifest. So, this is important because when you align with your goals, manifestation becomes less about struggle and a lot more about flow. And I think when we constantly are trying to express our manifestations from this sense of lack or desperation, it just typically doesn't end up working in our favor. So, I want to share a personal story about manifestation, a positive one and one not necessarily negative, but so a realization I had about why my manifestations were not coming to fruition. The first time I ever successfully manifested something, and we'll talk about why this happened this way. But the first time that I ever successfully manifested something and I could see the clear trail of what was going on was when I was living in Chicago. It was COVID, and my boyfriend at the time, we were both just stuck in the basement of this house in Chicago, just not having anything to do. So we started both working on business stuff, him working on his own business and me working on my personal training stuff. And along that, we would also, every single day, we would watch videos of houses, nice houses in nice areas to see, sorry, this light's shining in my fucking eyeballs, to see like just kind of manifest in a way, because we were writing down things that we liked about the houses and we would talk about things that we would do different in those spaces, and we were just watching these videos over and over again. And eventually I get a call from a former client of mine, and she was offering me to stay in her house. And her house, it was in a very nice area in Arizona. And again, we had been manifesting a house to stay in. I wasn't very specific, and this is the thing that I noticed. I wasn't very specific about the house being mine. I just said that I wanted to live in a house. I would love a yard for a dog and have a place to go outside and have it be private. It's just me in there. I don't like apartments, blah, blah, blah. And I ended up getting that. But again, I wasn't specific enough in what I was asking for, or I wasn't really intentional about it. And so I did get a house, but it was not an owned house. And it was definitely a house that was beautiful. And it was just crazy to see that alignment there. And I really truly believed that it was something, I really truly believed in manifestation. I believed in the things that I was doing and saying. I would do spells and manifesting for everything, like write it 3 times and then write it 3 more times and 3 more times, the 369 method. And I was doing a lot of that kind of stuff at that time. And I had nothing to worry about because it was COVID. So I didn't have that many negative thoughts kind of blocking my mind. So fast forward, trying to do the same thing, not necessarily manifesting a house, just manifesting things in general. And it's just not shaking out for me. I'm not really understanding. But then also at that time, now hindsight's 2020, of course, I see that a lot of my self-talk was negative. Like, I should be doing this, or I could be doing this, and things along those lines, like shoulda, coulda, woulda, and just really blocking my blessings with my vocabulary around certain things. And that leads me, and just like an overall, just a mess of a life at that time. I just had so much going on. I just wasn't in the right headspace. I was doing stupid shit, and I was just, this was post 2020, post COVID. So this is probably around like 2022. Yeah, probably like 2022 and 2023. I was just on shenanigans. And again, still trying to manifest, still showing up, but kind of half-assing it. Like doing the things, but not feeling the things. I was very numb at that time, and I just was like really felt like a shell of myself, just really not confident in how I looked or felt or how I was acting, and trying to manifest. And so this leads me into why manifestations are not working. The first one being a lack of clarity. So the universe can't deliver, just like when you order something online. If your order is not clear, if you're getting a custom ordered dress or something, if your order is not clear, then you're asking for something really vague for, like, vague would be something like a better job, or, um, let me think, a better job, a better partner, a better whatever. And you're not necessarily getting clear on what better means to you. And the universe may pick something that it thinks is better for you, but it not being aligned with what you actually feel drawn to or feel aligned with in your long-term future. So instead of saying, I want to be happier, you can try saying something like, I want to feel joy and fulfillment by spending time outdoors, laughing with loved ones, and creating art. You see how really that's really specific about the things that you want? As specific as you can get about the things that you're asking for, you need to do that. Because if I say that I want a better job, I might get a better paying job, but is it a better job for me? Maybe not. And so those are the things you have to be really clear on when you're manifesting. And another thing is your energy being misaligned. So this would mean that you're asking for these things, but you're feeling anxious or desperate, and you're doubting yourself or your worthiness. And it's kind of like trying to tune into a radio station. And if you're not on the right frequency, you just can't and won't hear the music. It's the same way. If you're not on the same frequency as the universe and what it's going to deliver to you, then it's not going to hear you. It's not going to reach the station, and it's not going to be heard by whatever higher power you believe in. I think the universe and God is synonymous. So to me, that's where our blessings are delivered from, and they start with us. So that leads into also limiting beliefs. And this is the third thing. So if you're not sure what a limiting belief is, it's not narration, any script that you've been sticking to that may no longer hold true in your life. And this could be like, some common limiting beliefs are like, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve this isn't possible for me. And I think that in my own life, I've definitely had my fair share of limiting beliefs. And I would say that the biggest one is always that I don't think that I can do it. I don't trust myself, or just like, I'm not good enough. This, like something's going to happen. Things always happen to me. Things get taken away from me all the time. And those are the things that I was really repeating to myself and telling myself. And I really didn't feel like I deserved the greater success, not the pen. And I didn't, in my heart of hearts, I didn't believe that I could do it, and I didn't trust myself, and I didn't see myself as that person. Like, cause then once I get those things, I have to uphold this person. I have to keep being this person. I can't just get there and, fuck off. I have to get there and stay there. And I didn't trust myself to do that. So one question you need to ask yourself is, what stories are you telling yourself about why you can't have what you want? Who originally told you that? And where did it come from? So a lot of the things that we tell ourselves could be from getting bullied when you're younger, or maybe your family wasn't very kind to you, or you had a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a partner that wasn't very kind to you. And those things can stick around longer than we thought. And something that was definitely a limiting belief within my relationships for me was that I always felt like I was going to get cheated on, or that I didn't deserve loyalty. I don't know exactly what the exact limiting belief was, but I always attracted these partners that were just like continuing that dynamic. So at some point you have to ask yourself, why am I telling myself this story? Where does it come from? And is this aligned with where I want to be? And then once you learn all these things about yourself, it's not just bada bing, bada boom, and it's done. Your manifestations are going to come after you stop telling yourself these limiting beliefs. It also is going to be due to a lack of action if your manifestations aren't coming to fruition. So manifestation is a co-creation. The universe will meet you halfway, but you have to move. So everything's in motion, and you have to continue to be in motion for the universe to meet you where you want to be. And I always say that it's called inspired action. And this doesn't mean forcing or hustling. It's about making small aligned steps. So one episode a week of, if you want to do something with content creation, or if you're trying to lose weight, starting with those small steps of those daily habits, drinking more water, eating right, going to the gym. Those are small, actionable steps that you can take. Sometimes, on some days, those might feel like large, actionable steps, but for the most part, it's a routine plan, something that you can show up as often as possible, whether that be sitting down and visualizing what you want, or sitting down and journaling so that you can get rid of some of those limiting beliefs, or just continuing to show up. And I think that this ties into the next one of another thing that's blocking you from manifesting is, or your manifestations coming to fruition rather, is that you are impatient. I combine the two. You are impatient and attached. So you have an attachment to this specific outcome. And you're obsessing over the how or the when, and you're actually blocking the flow. And I think that one thing that comes with the trust of the universe, right? And I think that means when I speak this thing, I have a clear vision about what I want and what I'm manifesting. And I'm not obsessing over exactly what the exact layout or game plan is going to be. It's, this is my goal and these are the specifics. And there's no when. Get that when out of your mind. If you have some time frames on some of your goals, like I want to post 12 videos by the end of the year, then that's fine. But that's still that action leading to your bigger goal. So think of it as planting a seed. And if you've heard this analogy before, if you keep digging it up and checking to see if it's growing, you're stopping it from flourishing. So you have to put it out into the universe, do those small actionable things, and trust that it's going to come your way. And that comes with that trust in yourself as well. And that's something that develops over time after you start seeing that you can show up, you can do these things that you've been committing to, and you can put in the work. And I think that comes with that self-trust and a little bit of self-love too, because when you love yourself, you want to show up in the ways that matter to you. And I think that means, of course, manifesting the life of our dreams. So now I'm going to give you some steps on how you can align with your goals beyond what I've just told you. So first and foremost, get clear on what you want. And my favorite journaling prompt is, if everything were possible, what would my life look like and how would I feel? So if you haven't read before, by Esther and Jerry Hicks, they have the book called Law of Attraction, and they also have one that is about emotions. And you want to read, I like all of their books. I think they're very interesting. They do like a channeling lesson, basically. They are talking to, in their own words, take this how you may. If you don't believe in it, it's not for you. Leave it where it is. But if you are interested in this kind of stuff, the wife, her name is Esther, and she channels this being called Abraham. And it is a multidimensional, multifaceted, like there's not just one. Abraham is like a collective energy. And Abraham answers a lot of questions about manifesting, and they're very interesting. But they have a book about emotions and how emotions are energy in motion. And so get specific on how it would feel for you. And when I'm pretty sure it's in this notebook right here, I literally just scripted out a day that I think was an ideal day in my life. And it was very specific about how I felt and what was going on and what was around me, what I was seeing. Just try to get all the senses involved if you can, and get very specific about it and write that down for yourself. And then you can also be specific and say, but I'm open to something even better. And that's how you can keep the doors open for yourself without blocking your blessings when you're getting clear on what you want. So that's step one. Number two, you want to embody the energy of this manifestation now. So if you want abundance, act as if you already have it. So gratitude, generosity, confidence, not necessarily spending a lot of money that you don't have, but there are things that are that money can't buy, like gratitude, generosity, and confidence. And when you carry yourself like you're confident in your abundance is an energy. It's not necessarily just a resource. So I think definitely carrying yourself in a way that you are thankful for the little things, and giving, like for me, giving can mean many things. Giving my energy, giving a cup of coffee to someone in front of me or behind me in line, those types of things, just have this trickle effect. And it's the rainbow, or not the rainbow effect, holy shit, the butterfly effect, that just this small action ripples into other people's lives, and that could lead them to do a better action. And that's actually something that got me involved in Buddhism first and foremost, was that I cannot change the world at large with where on the scale that I'm operating on now, but I can change the world around me by being a good person, and hopefully by me putting someone else in a good mood, they are in the mood to put someone else in a good mood, and then that just exponentially grows from there. And it's the same thing about embodying that energy. When you put what you put out, you get back, and that goes for many things. But one thing that you can do right now is list 3 things that you're grateful for right now that align with your dream life. And just seeing what those things are, just like when you're looking for a red car, or you have a red car in your mind, you see way more red cars than you ever have before because you're looking for it. It's the same way when you express your gratitude often. And it's the same thing with having negative thought patterns, where if I'm always looking for something to be negative about, I'm going to see more things to be negative about. Same thing as I'm always looking for positive things and things to be positive about, I'm going to see and experience more of those things. And then that leads me to the next thing, which is reframing those limiting beliefs that we talked about earlier. And first you have to identify the belief, and then you have to flip it, and then I always tell myself an I am affirmation to kind of confirm it for me. So, for example, if my limiting belief is money is hard to come by, then I can flip it by saying I attract money easily and joyfully. And then an affirmation with that would be I'm worthy of everything I desire. So it's just reframing those things that we've told ourselves over and over again. And that part takes a little bit of practice, because you have to realize that you're in a bad habit to break the bad habit. So you have to realize the things that you're telling yourself. And I always tell people to be careful what they say as well. And if you're my friend, you know this. And I say that you're blocking your blessings if you're saying something in a certain way. And so just making sure that you are taking very careful steps with the things that you speak into life, and saying that you can't do something. I know if you were ever an athlete, you definitely had a coach that got mad at you for saying that you can't. And there is some psychology behind that. When you tell yourself you can't do something, you're going to believe that you can't do something. And every cell of your being is going to believe that you can't do that thing. And so visualizing it and seeing yourself doing it does have a profound, not even like a spiritual effect, but an actual psychological effect on your actions. So flip it. So identify, flip, and affirm. Those are the things that you need to do with your limiting beliefs. And again, that takes some practice. And then another step is going to be to take that inspired action that I was talking about and ask yourself every single day, what's one small thing I can do today to move closer to my goal? Whether that's writing down a to-do list, or you want to be someone who cleans their house. Okay, that's spending 10 minutes cleaning a portion of your house, or maybe organizing some stuff. And if it's something to do with business, what's one small thing I can do? Even if it's just an educational step, how can I educate myself more on this topic? How can I make sure that I'm showing up and I have the knowledge to put these steps into action? So if you're manifesting a dream job, updating your resume, or connecting with someone in the field, or watching videos, learning about the topic, those would all be things to take inspired action. And inspired action, like I said, doesn't have to be a crazy thing like, oh, I'm going to start posting every single day on Instagram. That might be your actionable step if you're at that point, but your actionable step before that, if you're looking to create content or something along those lines, your first actionable step might be market research. Who am I targeting? Who's my audience? What story do I want to tell? Who do I want to represent? And then start taking action from there. And then it gets easier and easier because things get more and more specific for you. And start ugly. That's like one thing I always say is it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to have the perfect setup, but you can learn as you go. So don't let your fear of success, or your fear of failure, or your fear of being seen, or your fear of not being good enough, none of those things matter. And you just need to start taking steps, because everybody starts somewhere. And it's okay to be a beginner, and take your ego out of it. It's okay to be a beginner. And that leads me to the very last tip, is to let go and trust. And that's that practice of non-attachment. I do have an episode about non-attachment. So I always say, set it and forget it. So if I do spell work, as you guys know, I'm very witchy as well. If I do a spell, I do it. I am really focused on my intention in that moment while I'm performing it. And I usually do candle spells. So it's burning for a couple days or at least a full day, if not like multiple days. And I just trust that it's working. I don't sit there and monitor and ask questions and ask questions and ask questions. I just trust that my message was received. And you can also do a visualization exercise for this by imagine handing your manifestation over to the universe like a letter in the mail, or you can actually write a letter and then leave it. I have an altar. You could leave it on your altar, or you could leave it somewhere, you know, if you want it to be brought to you, you could always bury the letter near your house because that is just like solidifying it, grounding it. And then if it's something that you're manifesting to go away, bury it away from your house. There's lots of things that you can do. And there's lots of things. I could get into spell work and all the little details, all the little nasty details. But that's something where there's lots of things you can do. But writing a letter and getting clear on what you want with words that you can speak or write is a very powerful action. But you can't be so attached to it that you're constantly wondering, like, hey, can I get an update on my order? I know we all do this when we order packages. At least I do. Every day I'm checking that bitch to see if it's on my doorstep yet or when it's going to be on my doorstep. And so someone just yelled outside. The joys of Las Vegas. But set it and forget it. And you just have to trust that it's in the hands, and that's all a part of faith. I could do a whole episode on faith and what that means. And then just telling yourself an affirmation or a mantra, like, I trust the universe and its timing, and I trust the universe's plan and its timing, or something. Something. Affirmations and mantras, I always try to frame them in, even if it's a manifestation of something that I want in the future, I say it in the present tense. So I am a successful business owner, or I am a successful podcast host, whatever it may be. Those are all things that you can consider doing for your mantras and affirmations. And I would like to challenge all of you this week to focus on one area of your life that you feel stuck in, and journal about your limiting beliefs and flip them and take one inspired action towards that goal. And you can DM me or tag me in your story to show me what you're doing to align with those things. And my Instagram is at the.caradime, Karadigm. And there's also the podcast page. I think it's the Mindset Manifesto on Instagram. And please leave a review if you enjoyed the episode. I'm going to be making some more episodes. Next week's is also going to be about manifesting and how it rewires your brain and the science behind manifestation, in case one of you or many of you are skeptics out there. And I definitely want to continue this conversation because I know that there's a lot of us that are lacking clarity, having some misaligned energy, limiting beliefs, not taking action, and are severely impatient. And remember that you just want to clarify, embody, reframe those beliefs, take inspired action, and trust in the universe and trust in yourself. And I think that manifestation is a journey of growth, and it's okay if it takes time. It's better if it takes time. It's more sustainable that way. And next week, like I said, we're going to dive into the science of manifestation and how it impacts the brain and the psychology behind it. So if this episode resonated, please leave a review, share it with a friend who needs this message. And thank you all so much for tuning in. And if you guys want any additional resources, please send me a message. And love and light to all of you. And peace.